Hey everybody, JTISREBORN here. Welcome to another edition of my Batman the Animated Series reviews. This time we're going to be taking a look at episode number 40, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? This is the first episode to feature the Riddler. Now, when I was younger, the Riddler was like my favorite Batman villain. I think a lot of that has to do with the 60s Batman show, and, you know, Batman Forever was a movie that I watched so much. And Jim Carrey was just like everything when I was little. So like I was always like, whenever the animated series had a Riddler episode, I'd be super excited to watch it. And he was a villain that really wasn't utilized as much as I would have hoped. I guess the reasoning behind it was they had trouble coming up with riddles for the Riddler, but like the Riddler stuff was always, you know, some of my favorites. So, and this is a really, really good episode. Like all the Riddler episodes are solid. This is the first introduction to him. So the episode begins with Edward Nygma. He's in his office, and he sees that he's been locked out of it. And then it turns out that, you know, his stuff is getting taken. He's been fired by some douchebag named Daniel Mockridge. He's just like, you know, you're trying to sue me for royalties, Nygma, even though you designed the game, but I'm going to have all the money. So, Eddie, what are you going to do? And Nygma was like, but I created the game. I'm literally the reason you've made so much money. And then it's just like, your greed is no match for my genius. And he's like, oh, tell me something, Eddie. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? So he says that in his smug douchebageriness. And then he, like, you see the shot where it's like, you just see the shit-eating grin that this dude has, like, afterwards. And then all of a sudden it cuts to 2 years later. Mockridge is pitching something to, like, sell Competitron, which is the company he works for, to Wayne Enterprises, so that, like, more jobs can be sent to there. He'd have a payout, but, you know, something. And then all of a sudden we see that Edward Nygma has been tampering, like, with stuff all around. Like, he leaves something on, like, the stock exchange sign. He's just, like, talking about, you know, Mockridge's greed and all that. And then eventually Batman then figure it out. And then they come to Mockridge's club known as the Wasteland. Him and Robin are in this one. Robin's also playing this game called Riddle the Minotaur. So it's just some game it's the game that the Riddler created himself that sold millions of copies. But anyway, so they go to the Wasteland where Mockridge is at, and this is where we first see the Riddler. I will never forget this, because when I was younger, I always remember the cool silhouette shots that go on for the Riddler. Like, he just looks so cool, just kind of hidden in the background, you know, silhouetted and all eerie and mysterious. Like, I just love the artistic quality and style of this scene. So then afterwards, you know, Riddler takes Mockridge away, and then, like, Robin gets trapped, hit in one of Riddler's traps, which is, like, a play on the Chinese, you know, finger trap, which looks like Robin just got caught in a giant condom. That's just me. But eventually they're able to find out where Riddler is at the Maze of the Minotaur, which is based around his game. And then they got to go solve these, like, riddles and puzzles. And just, like, the problem-solving stuff is what I like about this episode. I mean, I always kind of forget the answers to a lot of these questions, but I think it's still, like, really cool, like, how they're able to figure out some of these things, and just really helps you use your brain. So they're in the Maze of the Minotaur, and it's just a fun little episode. It's just seeing them, like, you know, mess around with things, and then eventually they solve the whole thing. Well, Batman hacks into this thing called the Hand of Fate, and then he gets to the end of the maze where Mockridge is. He saves the Minotaur, but it turns out Nygma's gone. But then we find out that Mockridge has that buyout or whatever, and the end of the episode, Batman's asking him, like, Robin's just like, can't believe that, like, that slime ball Mockridge got away with this. He's like, I guess the mayor's happy about this. Bruce is like, bringing 5.5 million a year new jobs will do that. And then the end of the episode has Mockridge in his room. Like, he's terrified. He's got his gun and everything. He's looking under his bed, checking for Riddler. He's terrified. And he's just like, I don't think things are going to go so well for Mockridge. And then Batman's just like in a voiceover, how much is a good night's sleep worth? Now there's a riddle for you. And the episode ends with Mockridge kind of cowering in his bed. And it's pretty funny, but it's also kind of an eerie ending. Like, whatever, I don't know whatever happens to this guy. He never appears in any more episodes. I think he might have been mentioned in the next Riddler episode, but I'll have to rewatch it just to be sure. But we never do see, like, him physically on screen again. I think that would have been kind of a neat touch to see the Riddler finally get his comeuppance, or maybe just the guy just living in fear is his punishment. It kind of reminds me a bit of, there's an episode of The Fresh Prince where Uncle Phil has Will, and he's like, I'm not going to punish you, Will. And then Will's just like, that sounds pretty radical, Uncle Phil. I think that just might work. He's like, Uncle Phil's like, no, I'm not going to punish you today. Maybe not even tomorrow. No, I need to think a long time about just what I'm going to do to you. In the meantime, why don't you worry about it? Be afraid, Will. Be very afraid. So, like, Uncle Phil just, you know, years later, he eventually, like, figures out, like, the proper punishment for Will, and it's, like, some medieval torture thing. But just the idea of, like, you know what? It's eventually going to happen, but I'm not going to tell you when. I just want you to sleep in fear for a while, like that old shit. But yeah, this is a really, really good episode. I like the next Riddler episode a little bit more than this, but like this is one where I'm like, you know what, whatever the Riddler's on, I'm sold. Like I just love the Riddler episode so much. I think the first two are the best, and the third one was like, I can't remember, it was like Riddler's Reform or something like that. That one's also really good, but I think the best one is the one after this, and then this one would be like number 2 in terms of Riddler episodes. But all solid choices, and I just love seeing the Riddler. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say. Go ahead and leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of What is Reality, and we can discuss it further. Be sure to come back next time. We're going to take a look at episode 41, which is Joker's Wild, an episode that I also love. And yeah, talk to you later, everyone. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and that's what's up. Bye-bye.